Hello, world. Welcome back to Golf Subpar with Colt Knost and Drew Stoltz. Pretty normal weekend, Sleaze. Jon Rahm wins on the PGA Tour, and the Cowboys lose in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah. What's that make it, 26 years?
Yeah,
Since
sure.
the last one?
Whatever.
Something like that?
Forever.
Welcome. This is the way I felt
It's depressing.
after the TCU Georgia pounding. A little different, I guess. TCU had no expectations to get there. This was like the Cowboys' year. Win or go home, Super Bowl or bust. And, yeah, that looked like what I watched all year with the Broncos. Like, great defense, shit offense, score a point, do anything. I was sneaky. I know you weren't. But I think a lot of people out there was like, let this come down to a game-winning field goal. Please, if there's a sports god up there, let this be like a 47-yarder to win the game. Or 43, something you should make, but it's not guaranteed. After that first extra point, which it was blocked, luckily, that thing was going – that was spinning sideways. It was going to kill one of the cheerleaders. It was going nowhere near the uprights. I was like, oh, my God, it's not fixed. He did come back, though.
He did make a couple of nice ones.
Shit.
But all I was thinking is like, because the game was tied, then they went up 7, and we obviously had a couple of chances to move the ball down and score. I'm like,
what happens?
Oh, if we score and he's got to make this extra point,
what do you do?
Like, you go for 2 is what I would do.
He made field goals in between that time to give you like, okay, maybe he's somewhat back to level, but still, if you kick the extra point to tie it and he misses, the criticism is just game. Like, dude, how many has he got to miss?
Man.
All that stuff. But that was anyways.
Welcome
to hell.
Yeah,
that's what being a fan is.
Listen, I've defended Dak his whole career. I've always thought, like, I mean, as a 4th round pick, you didn't know what you really were going to have. When he came in for Tony Romo, when he got hurt back in the day, like, he's played unreal. Went like 12-5 in his first season, 12-4, something like that. Now, I mean, he's had back-to-back 12-5 seasons, but when all the chips are on the line, he hasn't really performed. Yesterday he played terrible, so I'm very that one stung because I honestly thought we had a really good chance going in. I know San Francisco's defense is incredible, which they are, but still, you have a 3rd-string rookie quarterback at the helm for San Francisco. He's undefeated. He's played fantastic. I just thought at some point the rookie football would show up. And he holds together, which we talk about it all the time. Like, he doesn't have to do a whole lot. He just has to not fuck up.
He's one of the few quarterbacks out there, like, when you get down to this level, division championships now, things like that, he doesn't have to go win the game. He just has to not lose the game. Other quarterbacks, like, you got to go win the game. Burrow does it. Mahomes does it every single time. Purdy doesn't have to. Dak needed to this last time. And, like, if you're the Cowboys, all right, you're GM. You got a pretty good team. Pretty close. But every time chips are on the table, like you said, it doesn't happen. You move on from Dak? If so, who do you get? Where do you go? Or do you just say we're another year closer, a couple more pieces? But I don't know what other pieces you need.
I mean, I think you're one wide receiver away. I'm not sure about the quarterback, which way you want to go with that. The way I always say it is, like, who are you going to get? Who's a better option? One that our good friend Ben Marsh threw out at us, he's like, trade for Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson in Baltimore doesn't really seem to be on the same page right now. They pay less money to Dak Prescott. You come here, you give Lamar Jackson a massive contract. I don't know. I wouldn't hate it. I think Lamar Jackson would be a big splash.
Big splash.
That would be a blockbuster trade. And we'll also throw in Brett Maher for free.
Just take him.
Yes.
A little party favor.
But I don't know, man. It sucks. Every year it feels like this is going to be the year they finally get back. They're the most talked about NFL team. And it sucks. I mean, I woke up this morning and it's not Sports Center. It's Dallas Cowboys Center. I mean, that's all it is. That's all they talk about.
It's more about them losing than
100%.
the Niners winning.
So it is what it is.
That's being a sports fan, though, dude.
Yeah.
Other than one fan base doesn't get their guts ripped. Tougher for you, like Broncos been shit all year. I was like, okay, saying it. I can just tap out and be like, yeah, I'll watch them, but I don't have any expectations. When it's like, this is the year, it hurts.
Hey, listen, but there's 4 great teams left in the playoffs. Both AFC and NFC championship should be great. I can't wait to see what happens. That Cincinnati-Kansas City game should be an all-timer.
You should get Burrow.
Dak for Burrow.
Straight up.
And we'll take a 4th-round draft pick of theirs.
Okay.
That's
right. Fair. They'll pick up the phone for that.
All right, let's talk a little golf here because Jon Rahm doing Jon Rahm things.
Oof.
2 for 2 in 2023. He currently has 56 holes out of 144 where he's made birdie or better.
He's just 54 under in his last 8 rounds.
It's
That was with
absurd.
like a slow Sunday this past week at the Amex. That wasn't his best stuff. But he's still 54 under par in 8 rounds. That's a joke. I mean, he's going right now like Forget the world golf rankings. Forget all that stuff. We can talk about that another time. That's the best player on the planet right now.
It is. He's currently number 3, but I'm with you. I mean, just passing the eye test, there's no doubt about it. Jon Rahm is. Granted, Rory McIlroy hadn't played in a couple of months, and he was on an absolute heater before he took his little break. But we have some cool stuff brewing right now because there's a lot of guys playing some very good golf. April can't get here soon enough for the Masters because, man, it's going to be very exciting with – not only are some great players playing great, then you got the live thing on the other side.
Champions Dinner should be very interesting. That seating arrangement, that'd be a fun one to tune into. Fly on the wall for that. I think
we should telecast the Champions Dinner.
Oh, my God. It'd be incredible. It'd be like Desperate Housewives golf version. Just some cattiness all
Also
over.
Got to give a shout-out to my guys over at Callaway. The new Paradigm driver is 3 for 3 on the PGA Tour this year.
Yeah. Whatever Rahm's playing, probably going to have some pretty good stats at the end of the year. Yeah.
But he's killing it right now. It's fun to watch.
And he's going to his course where he's going to Torrey this week. If you pick one place for Jon Rahm, it's like Torrey. That's his place.
He's plus 390 to win this week.
That's dumb. That'll be probably, I would go out on a limb and say that'll be the lowest odds for an outright winner on the PGA Tour. In a real, not like hey, he's the only guy in the top 50. Like some. I mean,
you got Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, Will Zalatoris, Taylor Montgomery playing some damn nice golf.
Yeah. We almost snuck up. That was my dark horse. He was like 45-1. Dark horse sitting there on 16. People make birdie there. Didn't do it. Goes to 17, and then he had a little whoopsie daisy. Whoops. But fourth top 10 of the season, leads all PGA Tour players this year. The kid he's going. He caught a horrible break 2 on 12 where his caddy was like, all right, knock the flag stick down. And guess what he did? He hit the flag. It bounced off to the fringe, ends up missing. It would have been a kick-in bird. He's close, man.
Well, D-Woo, I listened to you, and exactly what you said. You're fired.
Tell me to aim a yard left.
No, it's cool. I love seeing what Taylor's doing. One finish outside the top 15 this season. It's just crazy. Going back to Jon Rahm, I played with Max Homa the other day, who's 15th in the world, one of the best on the planet. We're playing and look at the scores from Thursday. Rahm's like 8 under par through 11. He just goes, this Rahm is a goddamn machine.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
It is.
I think that's one of the cool – when you get compliments from your peers, that's what's so cool about it. And, I mean, these guys know when Jon Rahm's on, he is very difficult to beat.
I don't know if this is a stat. We'll have to go to Justin Ray or somebody that knows what they're doing to look at this. Has anyone ever shot more than 54 under in the stretch of 2 rounds or 2 tournaments? I don't know. I mean, there's only a couple. Like Hawaii is always a shootout. Tournament champion is always a shootout if the wind's not thumping. But then you got to go do it another week. Like this is kind of, I guess, the two events where you could really get it going, but you still got to go do it. 54 under. I mean,
I'll tell you what.
Who's doing that?
He will not shoot 27 under at Torrey Pines.
He'll win. That would be a winner.
I think that would win.
That would be a winner. But I mean, like you said, there's only been a few guys win 3 in a row, and he's got a chance to do it. This would be the place you would pick for him.
Yeah,
you'll be out there.
He's on a tear. I'm heading there. Wednesday start because of the NFC and NFC Championship. Wrapping it up Saturday. Our first one with CBS this year. I can't wait to get going. Nance is going to be at Arrowhead calling golf from the football stadium on Friday and Saturday, but he can handle it. Trevor Immelman making his debut as lead analyst. I can't wait to get out there.
Trevor will be that's God, Nance busy dude. Him and Tirico right now just flying around.
Hey, got to pay the bills.
Got to. Speaking of, tell them about the stack because you're stacking right now, bud.
Well, this episode of Subpar is brought to you by Stack, and I have started using the Stack, and I am a 100% believer. I was just smashing it around Shadow Creek.
Of course,
got a little tip from Max the other day, too, by the way. Going through one of my training sessions where I was with one of the weights, I was right around 106 to 108 miles an hour. Max was like, give me a little try with this. Try squatting a little bit, pushing up a little bit.
Use the ground.
113, Sleaze.
That's all it took was just him saying, hey,
use
the ground.
Picked up 5 miles an hour.
Maybe Max should be a teacher after he's done winning a bunch of shit.
But I'm telling you, I love this thing. It's literally one club. You just unscrew the bottom, add weights. The app is so detailed. It is so easy to use. I'm obsessed with this thing. I want to do it every day, but it tells you to take a day off in between just to rest the body. You got to rest this machine right here.
Obviously.
But I'm a believer, man. When Mark Blackburn told me to do it, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Telling you, get the Stack. I'm gonna be hitting bombs.
So how many sessions you got under your belt now?
6.
And what's your increase been? You're not hitting a ball. You're swinging a club. You're training your body to go faster. But how big of a jump have you seen?
So basically, I've gone up right around 6 miles an hour.
That's nice.
That's my fastest from my baseline test. Which
that's nice. It's almost 20 yards.
Pretty good. I mean, I went from where it said 273 all the way up to 299.
Yeah, that changes things.
Get down,
Mox. I know you're just gonna be a 3-wood guy.
But I first heard about this thing with Matt Fitzpatrick, who was not one of the longer guys, actually was one of the shorter guys. All of a sudden, he got to over 180 mile an hour ball speed working with this thing. It was created by Sasha McKenzie, Marty Jertson from Ping. These guys created it. Telling you got to go get yourself one. Go to the Golf.com Pro Shop. Use code Subpar and get 10% off. 10% off the price, but you're going to hit like 20% longer.
I think it'll pay for itself in just a few rounds with your buddies.
Golf.com
Start reaching
Pro
par
Shop.
fives and 2. Start hitting wedges. Done.
Yeah, I'm a believer, man.
If it works for you, by God, it's going to work.
I don't know what that's supposed
You know
to mean,
what I mean?
but okay. But our guest
That's
this
fair.
week, the man can ship
Let's
it.
go.
This is going to be a fun one. If you're not real familiar with the name, he is a PGA Tour winner. I'm not kidding. This is one of my favorite episodes we've done.
I think it's one of the most fascinating interviews because you just don't get guys that have been on the type of ride that Charlie Beljan has been on. Most people that do remember the name will probably remember 2012, Disney, his win on the PGA Tour, but it wasn't a normal win. I mean, we get into this in depth, but battling the anxiety to the point where he was being ambulanced off the golf course, sleeping in the hospitals before the final couple rounds, things like that. Doctors telling him, don't go out there, don't play. And he said, nah, I'm going. That was a wild ride.
It's a wild story, and I got to give him a tip of the cap. I mean, he opened up, was not scared to say everything that's gone on in his life. He's doing great now, which we're very happy for him. But this episode, I'm telling you right here, y'all are going to enjoy this. Here's Charlie Beljan on Golf Subpar.
Okay, folks. We have a former U.S. Junior Am champ in the house, turned Jicky Jack legend, turned PGA Tour winner. He is a hell of a talent with an unbelievable story. Very much looking forward to this one. Charlie Beljan is with us. Chucky, good to have you, bud.
Hey, thanks for having me. I've been waiting to be on this for a few years, so I'm excited to be here.
It's finally here.
Tell Sleaze what it feels like to be a USGA champion.
Chuck, I was so close, dude. I don't even know if you know, bro.
Yeah, I watched it.
I was right there.
Boy, it's
snatched from us.
Yeah, they can't take it from you, and I consider it a major, man. I mean, they used to consider them majors back in the day until they changed it. But if you sit down with any guys that are on the board at the USGA or work there, they all consider it a major. So I would never tell anybody I'm a major champion. But being a USGA champion, man, the USGA is what runs the world of golf. And so to be a champion of one of their major championships is something that I'll always have. And to be honest, man, that week looking back was better than my tour win, better than the other wins. It was just a great week at Atlanta Athletic Club.
Right?
Yeah, Atlanta Athletic Club.
Zach Reynolds.
Zach Reynolds.
That's
yeah,
right.
Sure was.
With OSU? Did he go to OSU?
Oklahoma State,
Yeah.
and then never heard a word about him after that.
You ruined
He was good.
Yeah,
he was a
he was
good
good.
junior. Who else did you run through in that thing? Anybody that ended up popping?
I ran through Brian Harmon.
Ooh.
Yeah, I sure
Close?
did. I think it was 21 holes, man, and it was dark, and I think I made a long putt on the last hole to get him. I think that was in the quarters. But at the time, I had set the record for the most holes played to win a USGA championship. Every match I had went to 18 or extra holes.
Damn.
Shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
your
then
final was extra.
The
isn't it?
final was 3 extra holes with tying triple bogeys on one hole.
That's what it
Hell
was.
yeah.
I knew there was some
Yeah.
weird
Hell
shit.
Yeah.
Hold on, can you remember this? How did it go?
Yeah, who messed up first?
He messed up first from the right bunker. There's a lake in front of the green on
Yeah.
18, and he puts it right in the lake. I've got an 8-iron. I've got 100 yards behind over the water until the cart path. And I dead fat it from the middle of the fairway right in the lake. Then we both chunk our chips, and we both 3-putted or something like that to tie with 7.
He soups it. You got 8-iron and you lay the sod
Lay the
over
sod
it.
over it.
Pressure is a bitch.
Pressure is
That's
a bitch.
unbelievable that you came after doing that. Because normally the first guy that messes up, like they lose,
They
right?
lose,
Because the other guy
yeah.
plays it safe and it happened.
Yeah.
But like to him mess up, you both tie with triple,
Yep.
and you walk to the next hole like a double.
Yep.
Cleans this thing up.
And to get to that hole, he goes and runs in about a 35-footer on the par 3 17th, and I've got to make about a 20-footer to extend it. And I make the 20-footer, and then we go to 18. We tie with triples, and we come back to the par 3, and I hit it.
triples.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
I know it is.
It was
And
like super clutch though. Before that, he hoops, and you got to hoop to
yeah,
extend.
back and forth, and then we go back to 17, 150 yards down the hill. I hit a 9-iron to like a foot. He hits it in there to like 12 feet and misses it. And then I was really hoping he was going to give me that. It might have been 18 inches, boy, but it seemed long at the time. Yeah.
After a trip, you're like, why don't you go ahead and kick that thing
100%,
in?
yep.
Yeah.
That's an incredible story. I never knew about the triples.
Yeah, and what's even crazier is on the 18th hole, the second round, the last hole, I made like a 60-footer to get into match play. And then kind of just,
Really?
From the back of the green on 18, the pin was front left, and I hooped it to get into match play. Otherwise,
shit.
you know, to be honest, if that putt doesn't go in, I was getting ready to go to MCC, and, you know, who knows? And then all of a sudden that putt goes in, that week happens, and I've kind of got
Every
my pick
offer on the
to
planet.
go wherever I want.
Yeah, that's wild.
I played behind Eduardo Molinari when he won the U.S. Amateur at Marion, and he hooped a bunker shot on the last hole of stroke play to get into match play.
Crazy.
It's
That's
crazy
how it
how it
goes.
is.
There's so many stories.
Wasn't that
like
to get into the playoff to then get? Did he then advance
might have
out
been
of the
a playoff,
playoff?
yeah.
It was like, I mean,
I just remember I was behind him and he hooped it and he went crazy, and I was like, that must have meant something.
I'll tell you, I got from the U.S. Junior, so I get exemptions into the U.S. Am. So I roll into Bloomfield Hills. What's the one up there?
in Detroit, Oakland Hills.
Oakland Hills.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. I go into a playoff. I make match play. I draw Anthony Kim the first round.
Yeah, let's go.
Draw Anthony Kim. And we're on the tee. Just won the U.S. Junior. There's Jim Ahern, Philip James, the guys from Titleist, everybody right there. And he puts his peg in the ground and he turns around to all these guys and he goes, I'm going to be the first one to beat the U.S. Junior Amateur champ. And then on 18, he gave me about a 3-footer because all I had to do was 2-putt it to beat him. But let me tell you what, I made the record-setting amount of putts on him, man. He was so discouraged for sure. But I'll never forget that, man. I was like, this asshole is not going to beat me. And
That's too big. Like, you were a monster, like junior golfer, college golfer too. But like to win the junior Am A to even advance the match play at the US Am is a big deal. But then you draw AK.
Yeah,
and like,
right out of the gate.
That's a talent.
Yeah.
Did you know him at the time?
I didn't know him at the time, and then I beat him, and then ended up playing my former roommate Spencer.
Wow.
And Spencer drummed me.
Spence.
Yeah, I think he beat me like 5-4, 4-3 or something.
He
But
was
we
dangerous.
just smoked cigarettes down the fairway, had a
We're
good
gonna get to
laugh, and it was a lot of fun, man.
You didn't know you'd be future teammates.
Future roommates.
Yeah,
as a matter of
roommates,
fact.
yeah,
As a
that
matter
team.
of fact, that was one of the things that we had to do at New Mexico to get Spence to come. Was I begged my coach to let me out of the dorms after the first semester of my freshman year so I could live in an apartment with him, and that because he didn't want to live in the dorms. And we ended up my girlfriend and I and Spencer living in an apartment together. And let me tell you what, it was a great time.
That team, which we'll
I want to get to that. I want to know how, like, what made you choose New Mexico of all the places? You're from Arizona. You're obviously
world beater. Like, you
US
were the
junior
guy.
world beater. You probably could have chose a lot of places. No disrespect to New Mexico.
No,
but
not at all. I really wanted to be a Florida Gator or a Wildcat, and I didn't like flying at the time, so a long flight kind of took me right out of it. And then Rick LaRose, who was the coach at U of A, comes over to my house for a dinner. And the guy calls me his hush puppy like 30 times while we're sitting at dinner. His hush puppy. He's talking about Ricky Barnes. We're having this talk, but he keeps referring to me as his hush puppy. And he walked out the door, and I looked right at my mom, and I remember I started crying because I said, this is where I've always wanted to go, but I'm not going to play for this guy that's calling me his hush puppy. I didn't even know what it meant. I didn't know anything.
I still don't know what it would be.
I don't know.
That's incredible.
He had a good friend of ours. Screw it, I thought his name. Andrew Medley.
Yeah.
Transferred from Ole Miss to that Arizona team. You would have been on the same team
Yep.
with him. Ricky Barnes was a senior and all this stuff. And LaRose, for whatever reason, called him Veg.
Okay.
His name Veg for vegetable, which no one calls him that now. No one ever else in the world called him that. But he has a great story at Karsten Creek. I'll mess up the story, but basically it was coming. One guy was shooting $1 million, so Medley's score was going to count. And they're on a whole water par 3. Like, you need to just don't butcher this thing and get to the house, and we're going to advance. We're going to go to NCAAs or whatever it was.
Good coaching there.
Yeah.
Just don't fuck this up.
Medley tells it like he never followed me around. He was with Rick 100% of the time, and all of a sudden here he is. I'm like, oh Jesus, what's going on? Well, Medley, of course, like junk drag hooks one into the lake, ends up making dub or trip. They miss. Whatever it was they were trying to do, they didn't do it. And at the end of it, LaRose just goes and was like, Veg, you just don't have it.
That's good.
So good. And he's like, yep, you're right. I quit.
My first time, like, really seeing him, and not just to bag on him. I mean, he obviously had a great program.
100% great.
But I remember at NCAAs at Caves Valley, we finished up one of the rounds, and their van was like 2 down from us, and he was just losing his shit, screaming at his team. And I'm like, I just don't feel like that would make me play better.
Right.
I'm not a
There was
football
a few
player.
of those that were like, you saw him for the first time and you're like scared. Like Mike
No
Holder,
question.
when you first saw Mike Holder,
you
you're not
just
like,
turned
oh,
the
Holder
other
wasn't
way.
a yeller. He's just
but dude,
intimidating.
he's just scary.
Yeah.
I ran into
No
him.
doubt.
Jeff Queenie and I ran into him at the Aria High Limit Room. This was a couple years ago, and I mean he's still intimidating. But we played blackjack with him till about 4 a.m.
There
and had
you go.
a blast.
And had a
He's
good
scared
time.
to do you want me to hit here? Should I hit?
Don't
make me run.
I got to tell these 2 quick stories about LaRose. And like you said, he had a killer program, won a lot of championships, but he was just known for these stories. So we're in Hawaii, and I'm playing with Nate Lashley, and we're on the 10th hole, and Nate hits it to like a foot, man. And LaRose is over in his cart reading the paper, and we get up there, and Nate puts down his bag, and he goes and he misses the putt, man, and he flips out. And
Sounds right.
Sounds about right, right?
Sounds
And
right on
LaRose comes out, puts his paper down, walks up, and he goes, Nate, he goes, you can't get that upset. He goes, you're not good enough to make all those. And I thought the steam that was going to come out of Nate's ears was going to make his head explode. And but there was just so many. And then one time, first tournament of the year, we're in Japan, and Henry Lau, remember Henry?
yeah.
Speaking
Another
of world
US junior.
beaters,
World beater. Now he's teaching over at Rancho Cucamonga, where they had the Q school, and he's done really well for himself.
Murray. He's over in Southern Cal teaching.
Bellevue or not?
Yeah, one of the-
Belmont or something. One of those anyway.
He was a monster.
But Henry Lau and I were on the first tee in Japan, very first shot of the year, and Henry hits it out of bounds left, and here comes LaRose up in his golf cart, gets out and walks up, and he looks right at Henry, and he goes, Henry, how's it feel to ruin your All-American season on the first swing of the year? And I was just like, oh my gosh, man. It was so funny, and those stories just stuck with me for so long because they're just such great one-liners that he
I
had.
have to get Coach on just to hear some of these his side of some of these stories.
Yeah.
So who'd you shit on the most during your career, Coach?
There was Madley, but I never expected much from him.
Right.
But these other guys were
Yeah.
pretty good. And he used the food nicknames.
Yeah.
And apparently, I didn't know
Yeah.
about the
Hush
Hush Puppy.
Puppy.
That's a weird, just meet him.
And
for
I
the
dig
first
Hush
time.
Puppies, man. They're
And you were
good.
ready to ink, too.
No,
You were
I was
ready
ready
to
to
go.
go.
It's like,
Okay, so hold on.
100%.
So why New Mexico though?
So I went over to New Mexico, and their practice facilities were top notch. I mean, they got their own golf course. They had their own practice facility down there with like a 300-yard driving range and like 10 or 12 different greens you could hit to. And they showed me a really good time on my recruiting trip.
There you go.
And
He got game.
their facilities were great, and it was a 5-hour drive. And I said, "This is where I'm going." So I remember he picked me up that morning to take me to the airport, and I had to peel myself off the bathroom floor and put myself together to go to the airport. But I told him at the airport, I said, Coach, this is where I'm coming, man. And never looked back. And it was the best decision of my life because Coach Milliken, he took care of me in a way that I don't think any other coach could have. I had bad back problems. He did above and beyond what I think anybody else would have done. But to leave here and go play in the cold on a different grass and then some wind in the spring made all the difference for my game. There's a lot of guys here that were better than me, and they went to ASU, they went to U of A, and they kind of, when you play up on this overseed all the time, man, and it's pretty easy.
You get spoiled.
You
It's
get
like
spoiled
you go somewhere
for
where
sure.
There's some wind or bad lights. You're like, how am I supposed
Exactly. And that's why, when I play a couple tournaments around here, when I'm bored or something, boy, I want a little 10-mile-an-hour breeze because nobody knows how to play in it.
They don't even show up. Like, it's not
They don't
worth
even-
practicing.
Exactly. It's not.
There weren't too
it's
many
sunny
dudes.
and 75, but there's like an 8-mile-an-hour breeze. So they're like, nope, conditions
Shut it
aren't
down.
good.
I'll
Yeah.
practice tomorrow.
Exactly.
There weren't too many dudes beating you. You said there were dudes going to ASU that were better than you. I mean, you were a monster in this state.
Yeah.
You won state like multiple times.
Yeah.
I mean, you were all
but like
everything.
at the time, like guys like Jesse Mueller,
Yeah,
and
he's good.
and those guys were good, man, no doubt. And then shoot, Mueller just won that Club Pro championship.
Mueller's still good, bro.
Yeah, and
If he could hit it further in the air, he could have done it.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
he
made
could putt
cuts
it.
at opens.
Because he played Sony last week because he gets the
Yeah.
5 spots or whatever. But hopefully he does something.
I heard in high school you had to deal with little Ben Marsh a little occasionally too.
Yeah, little Ben Marsh.
I
He was
played
a
with him
brilliant
What did he
guy.
say? He's
I
like,
played
yeah,
with
me
him
and
today. I
Charles.
was like, I need one more question for Belgian for our E9. He goes, ask him how it felt to get dummied by me all through high school.
Yeah.
You don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
He's
don't
like,
even know.
who the hell's Ben Marsh?
Yeah, exactly.
He's on the bottom
No,
of
I
his
know.
shoe
He's
right
about,
now.
He's about this
Yep.
tall.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
grown.
So,
Dude,
and his dad's still up at Whisper Rock.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
one of the
great,
best dudes of all time.
dudes of
Yeah.
all time.
So is
Absolutely.
Smarsh, by the way. They're
Yeah.
both the best. dudes
Really
of all-
good.
That New Mexico team, though, like they've had some guys come out, and you can
Yeah.
be good there. But y'all's team, because
Yeah.
that was when we moved to Mountain West, TCU.
Correct,
and we played
TCU,
against
yeah.
y'all at the end, dude. It was you, Spence,
Jay Choi, Jay
Reynolds,
and then
it was a squad.
Yeah, and our fifth guy kind of rotated between that Matalizzo Mutia.
Yeah, Matty was awesome.
But nicest kid of all time. Yeah, we didn't ever say a bad word out of his mouth, but boy, we listened to the nastiest rap music on the way to tournaments that he was putting on. So it was good, man. College was a great time. Anybody that's thinking about skipping college golf they're crazy because that's the best time of your life.
Just going there, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of those things. Once you get out of it, you're like, damn, that was pretty good. I had
really
it pretty good.
Really good.
But when you're there, you're like, can't wait to.
Well, what's hard about college now, and especially as the years have gone by, these kids are so spoiled. Like literally back, it was 2004, 5, 6, something like that. I mean, you were told what time to be at the airport. You parked for free. They shuttled you. You got there. Your coach handed you your boarding pass. You didn't have to worry about rooms. You didn't have to worry about anything. And then you leave college and you're like, wow. There's a lot more to
who
just
does this
showing.
shit
I know who does
I
this.
book a plane ticket.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I still have my Southwest Rapid Rewards deal that I started up in college, man. Yeah.
Miles for days.
Yeah, 100%.
That New Mexico team, I would feel very confident saying this. No team in the history of college sports went through more darts in a round of golf than that New Mexico team, dude. They were a fact, and I would say also some of the biggest personalities ever assembled on a golf. Dude, y'all ripped darts.
You know, our coach, he didn't care, but we unfortunately took advantage of the situation. And then one time we were getting ready to go down to U of A's tournament, had a practice round. Jay Choi, myself, and Spencer all decided to smoke some cigarettes. Didn't really care. Coach finds out, benches us. So he doesn't take his three best guys. They go down and they finish last or second to last. But yeah, we took advantage of the situation for sure, and we paid the price.
All right, boys, y'all want reds or lights? I need back in the lineup.
Exactly. When you do Spencer never had to share because Spencer smoked the reds, man, and Jay Choi and I were on the ultra lights.
Spence on the darts was the best. You could just see it coming up from the visor. It was
from the visor.
Take a picture of that.
Exactly
dude.
right.
And then he's ready to freak out.
We're playing Texas A&M's tournament, and I get paired with Spence and Tyler Leon.
Okay.
First tee, Tyler's over there putting sunscreen on. He's like, Spence, you want some? Spence goes, nah, I'll die from lung cancer way before I die from skin cancer.
Yeah. God, and now he's gone a whole bunch of years now without smoking.
Yeah,
he's
we had him
good.
on radio. He's like all the way off all that.
Yeah.
Putting like Happy Gilmore, doing some weird shit putting, but he's
he
no
qualified for
no booze, right?
Yeah, he qualified for Vegas.
I think he's off all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Game went to shit.
God, he
was good. That was a hell of a
dude.
squad.
Not only I would just watch him practice the way he hit balls and did that Gary Player follow through. But when people ask me who's the best putter that you've ever seen or whatever, I say hands down, day in and day out. And Aaron Badley's right there, but I haven't played as much with him. But Spencer, it was going to hit the hole from any distance, man. It was incredible.
And that's what's so crazy. Like later on in his PGA Tour career, he went from one of the best putters to one of the most defensive putters I've ever. Like if it went in, it dripped over the front edge. I'm like, Spencer, you've always made everything. Like you're scared of a 3-footer coming back, but man, he was one of my favorites to get paired with. Not only because he would lose his shit, but he just knew how to play golf. Wasn't the prettiest thing. Wasn't the most beautiful golf swing. Didn't hit it 9 miles. He put a score on a scorecard that was better than a lot of people's.
Every time. It seemed
was
like it
fun.
every time.
Didn't want to lose.
Didn't want to lose. That's what made him great, man. He did not want to lose. And he did not accept losing well. But he didn't lose often.
The first hole at Tucson, I didn't tell him this. You probably remember this, dude. We were paired with y'all. I don't remember who I was playing with from your team. Spence was in the group in front of us. So I'm talking to Spence on the tees, getting ready to tee off.
Hit
a little
for
2-iron.
Mountain West or something?
Probably. No, I think it was U of A's tournament at the time. It could have been our conference. But you hit the little 2-iron out there, hit some sort of short iron. It's a nothing burger hole, right?
Yeah.
He goes up there, hits a 2-iron. Or something like, all right, see you later. Hits a 2-iron down the middle of the fairway. I think it's good. He was playing with JJ Colleen, actually.
Okay.
Gets up there.
Tough break.
They hit their second shot into the greens, and we tee off. We get up there. We're waiting by our balls, and it's taking them a while. All of a sudden, Spence apparently plugs it in the front bunker. Chops it out, goes back behind the green, chops it back to the front, misses, taps in, and his bag is still down by the bunker. He was the first to finish out. Grabs the pin, takes the pin, javelins it at his bag, which will hit his bag, which is unbelievable because that's hard to do. Knocks his bag down. Whole fucking mayhem is going on. Puts the stick in, takes his visor off. It's a 36-hole day, by the way, and it's 96 degrees.
Yeah.
Takes his visor off, crumples it, throws it with his ball into that little ravine that you walk over going to the second tee. And they were like, look down here. All Spencer shit. He came back and shot he was in second
doubt.
at the end of the day.
Sometimes
Double
that's what
off
he
the first.
needed was to get lit up on the first or second
hole.
hole.
We're one hole in, dude.
I
And he's doing that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Normally, that's hole 31 and you've got enough, but it was one.
That same tournament we played out, he was in a fairway bunker, and he hit this beautiful fairway bunker shot came up like 20 feet short of the hole. And I was like, dude, great shot, Spence. He fucking javelins his club 60 yards. Goes, don't ever fucking talk to my ball. And I was like, what? And he goes, sorry, dude, I thought I stoned it. I was like,
funny.
Jesus, this guy scares me, little fella.
I'll never forget, too, we're playing the Mountain West Conference Championship up at Crosswater in Bend, Oregon, man. What a spot that is. We were so lucky to be able to go there all the time.
So good.
But I make like a 30-footer on the last hole to put our team into a playoff with BYU. So we all, we finish, we go to number 1 tee. There's, their 5 players, our 5 players, the coaches, a few people around. And I kid you not, Spencer, he's getting ready to hit it, man. And he backs off of it and he rolls up his sleeves and he turns to the BYU team. He goes, boys, I'm going to make this quick because I'm hungry. And the guy goes out and he birdies the first hole.
Of course he did, dude.
And he birdies
He's
the
like the
first
only guy
one,
that can
man.
do that.
He was awesome, man. He was a different cat, but boy, he was good.
I loved him, man.
Yeah, no
he would
question.
come with like, I had a dream last night about putting like with my eyes, like I'm making something up, like putting with my eyes closed, and it worked. Or Hogan told me in a dream to do it, and I'd be like, okay, dude, good fucking luck. And then you'd look up 66. I'd be like, dream worked.
Him and his dad's relationship was quite special as well.
It was extremely special.
Have you ever heard the one about Boston? TPC Boston playoffs. He was like on the cut line on 15 with a few to play, and he's struggling getting in. He's going out there, but I guess his dad's walking along the cart path and is very vocal.
Oh, yeah,
Spencer.
100%, yeah.
And Spencer hits this shot, I guess,
Don.
misses the green, and hears his dad say something. He goes, Dad, shut the fuck up. I got this.
He did not care.
He didn't care,
Did not
man.
care
He didn't,
at all.
dude. He was great.
Don would
man.
occasionally caddy for them, and they needed a camera on them at all times because I thought they were going to kill each other.
Yeah.
He's one
they
of those
could.
dudes that like needs to be like that though. If he like reins it in, he'll just implode.
No question.
He
He'd
needed
rather
to like
walk off
have
the
that
course.
release.
He had
Like
to have
that
that
made him. I think
intensity.
that fired him up and shit. Because
100%.
he did it. He could be 4 under and have him melt down. You know?
But then he'd be 7
But then-
under 5 holes later.
Exactly.
Yeah,
My
sure
first
would.
tournament as a pro was San Antonio, and I think I played with Spence on Saturday, and Don's on the bag. In the 15th hole, Spence blocks it way right, and his dad runs off the fucking tee, throws his hat on the ground, and looks at him and goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, this is a great player-caddy relationship.
No question.
Right here.
No.
That's so good.
God, Spence.
Priceless.
I mean, we could tell Spence stories for 4 hours.
Yeah.
We should. I called you.
We should.
We should just do a whole show with that. We're gonna get him on too. By the way, we'll
He would be
in
priceless.
touch with you
He would be
before
priceless.
that. But you get out of UNM. You go to. I called you a Jicky Jack legend, which there aren't many. There are very few actually. You are one. You didn't
This is
spend
where-
that long on the Jicks. How many did you think you won? But the Jicks were different back then. When
9.
we came out, we were just talking about it before.
I
It
think
was
I
like
won
real
I
tournaments.
think I won like 9 on the Gateway Tour.
But when it was real, it was 150 dudes, 2 waves, 2 courses.
30 grand a week. It was the
Yeah, it was
greatest
real.
gig ever. You showed up, you rode in carts, you played in threesomes under 4 hours. You had a money game the day before, and the same 10 guys made a fortune. And then afterwards, you'd go and have a bunch of beers and hang out and party, and then you'd wait 2 days and you'd do it again.
You drive 25 minutes to the golf course.
No question.
Back home for
Yep.
lunch.
30
And that's
grand a
it.
pop. That's nice.
No, it was real when it first
was
started.
awesome, man. I think 2 years I made like almost 200 grand in 16 or 17 weeks living at my. I mean, if that came back, I'd be all about it for sure,
it ain't the worst
100%.
gig.
But
And they were all around here.
all around
all
here.
here.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I never had more than like a 30 or 40 minute drive from the house. It was.
But you were still doing Q school every year. And
I was still doing Q school every year. Yeah, 5 years. Every year I got through first stage, and every year I never showed up for my final round of second stage because I was so far out of it. I'm like, hell, I'm going home. This is. Yeah, I'm not going to waste an extra 5 hours of my time when I get. Even if I shoot 59, it's not going to matter.
what was that moment like when you finally made it through and you got your card?
Oh man,
Back when you could.
Yeah, back when you could. Well,
Yeah.
I think this year they're bringing that back, aren't
Bringing
they?
5
spots.
back.
5
yeah.
spots, which is a good idea. But I'll never forget Palm Springs, where they're playing right now. I had like 150 yards in, and it was a little water on the right, and I probably hit it 30 yards left of the green, playing the yellow golf ball at the time.
Remember that.
And I go over there, and I've got to make 5 to get my card, at least for what I thought. And I chip it up there to about 6 feet, and I make this putt. And I remember just dropping my arms and dropping my putter and putting my arms up in the air, and then and the rest was history. It was incredible. I remember Mike Dunphy from Strixon was there, and Andy Dawson, and we all went out that night and had a good one. And Dunphy at the time, after I won the U.S. Junior, he was my first. When I played the U.S. Junior, dude, I only had 13 clubs in my bag. No, 12 clubs in my bag because I had broken a 5-iron and a 4-iron, and I didn't have the money or didn't know the people to get them fixed right before. So I won the U.S. Junior with 12 clubs with a 1-iron.
Wow. That might be a record,
too. And then, yeah, it was just it was an incredible time.
Yeah, you were a dude that, like, it took you, like, you missed it second, like you said. But everyone around here knew, like, you can tell. You said the same 10 guys.
Exactly.
And even some of the 10, like, I would be like, look, he's good, but he ain't tour. He ain't going to go win on tour. He's not going to have a big career out there on tour. There's you and like Finau would have been another one I would have mentioned. I've been like, those dudes have that next gear.
Yeah.
It's just coming.
You were one of the guys, like, you're a year older than I am. But you were one of the first guys that I was like, holy shit, he hits it far
as shit.
Yeah. That's all, it's so funny because that's all anybody wants to see me do in that. And I don't hit it far now, man. I hit it
everyone does now.
Everybody does now. So I played an event on the Outlaw Tour, Asher Tour, whatever it is, a couple months ago. And I kid you not, I was lasering this kid with my laser because he was so far in front of me. And I'm telling you, it was between 55 and 70 yards. Every time that I was.
Who was it?
Yeah. His name was Caleb Ramirez from Ohio State, and he came out here and he's playing. I think he's just playing the mini tours around here. I don't think he's ever gotten through school or anything like that. But all these kids hit
That's
it.
sickening.
But the problem is they don't understand the game. They don't understand the angles. They'll put a couple in the houses or the trees, and that's why I can still compete with these guys because I'm just smarter than they are when it comes to golf course management.
But when you were getting going on tour, was there anyone that, like, when you got paired with him, you're like, damn, he really moves it? You were one of the longest
like
guys
DJ.
out there.
Yeah, I mean, Bubba and I for 2 years went back and forth constantly before 1 and 2, before everybody started to really hit it. But yeah, I used to bomb it and people wanted. I used that Cleveland Classic with the
I remember
mahogany.
playing so many jicks with you and you taking lines. I was like, oh, the bunker, it's 315.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, I need to peel it around that. And you'd just be like, I'm going left of it.
It's
over
like
it.
Southern Dunes back in the day was a chip and putt for me because I could carry it 315 and take it all those bunkers.
Holes.
Now I go play it and I'm like, damn, this is a good golf course because you got to maneuver it between the, if you can't carry it 300, it's a lot harder. But
welcome to my life.
Yeah.
What did you hit into Riv when you almost won there, when you lost in the playoff? Am I
18?
misremembering? You hit, dude, was it a gap wedge?
It was a gap wedge.
Dude, you play. What do you hit in that hole? Not gap wedge.
Not gap wedge.
Like, that's sickening, dumb far.
It was, I mean, there was a lot of adrenaline and I smashed it, but yeah, it was a gap wedge into 18 at Riv.
You lost in the playoff there.
Yeah, not on 18, on number 10.
Yeah.
So you want a quick funny story? So I hate number 10. The very first time I show up at Riv, I'm playing number 10. I'm playing with Retief Goosen and Bo Van Pelt. And we're in the fairway. All of us are in the fairway on 10. And I watch Retief walk off with a 7, Bo walk off with a 7. I walked off with a 4. I couldn't have been happier. But since that time, and I watched these guys go back and forth between those bunkers, it haunted me. So after 18, the first playoff hole, Merrick hits it in the right trees. Then I guess the saying is true. Trees are 90% air because he just blasts it through like 8 trees. Ends up on the green. We make par. So we go to 10 and I try to drive it. Terrible mistake. But I ended up missing like a 5-footer, which all I had on my mind at that time was the Masters. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to play in the Masters, and my win at Disney didn't get me in. So they say, hey, you need to come to the media room. So I walk down the 10th fairway. I go to the media, and they're asking me. And I said, I just don't understand why a golf course that has 17 of the best holes, we play this ridiculous hole that needs a windmill and a clown's mouth. And the room kind of went silent. So about 4 months goes by, and I'm like, hey guys, you want to? I had some buddies. They're like, let's go play Riv, and I'm like, sure, I'll call him up. So I call up Riv, man, and I don't remember the head pro's name at the time, but I said, hey, I'm going to be in town. Can I bring a few buddies out? And he goes, we haven't got around to installing the clown's mouth or the windmill, so you're not welcome. And that was like my first moment where I was like, I might actually have to pay a little bit of attention to what I say, because it was like the first time something came back and kind of bit me, but I laughed about it. But Riv was a cash cow for me, man. I think I had a first, a third, an eighth. I mean, it was perfect. I bombed it. And
well, I always laughed because I played terrible there, but you would look at the leaderboard and it was you, Dustin Johnson, JB Holmes, Bubba Watson.
Everybody that smashed it.
They play
Keegan Bradley
every year.
And I was like, I can tell you 5 guys are going to finish in the top 10 this week before we start.
It's like the maybe the easiest ones, like here they are, they'll be up there somewhere. Or 3 of these 4 will be up there.
Yeah, that and the Greenbrier. The Greenbrier was always good to me too.
Yeah.
We didn't see many weekends together.
Let's go back to that first win, though, that you mentioned, your Disney 2012, because that's the one, like, to this day, I'd say maybe the most fascinating, interesting, different win that I've seen on the PGA Tour. 100%. When you think back to that week, like, kind of walk us through it for maybe some of the listeners who aren't as familiar with what all happened that week.
Yeah, so I just had my son like a month prior, and I'm going into Disney that week, and I need a solo third to keep my tour card. Yeah. And I teed off, and we played the hard course, the Magnolia course first. I think I shot 3 or 4 under. On Thursday, we go into Friday, and I'm sitting there on the range feeling good, and I'm smoking a cigarette, and then all of a sudden, man, something comes over me. I look at my caddy, and I said, I'm not feeling that good. Something's wrong, but I had to play, man. My whole job was on the line. So I quit hitting balls. I went and hit a few putts, and I'm like, man, I'm not feeling good. So he went and got a paramedic or somebody. They came over, and they said my blood pressure was a little bit high, and I said, well, what, am I going to die? And they said no. So then I said, all right, let's go. So I tee off, and I hit it to like a foot on the par 5. I'm playing with Edward Lohr, and I don't even remember who else. Ed Lohr, yeah. And that guy just had triplets or something at that time. And I make eagle on the first hole. I birdie the second hole. Before I know it, I'm just in this I don't even know what to call it, man. I shoot like 7 under on the front 9, but the whole time I feel like I'm going to die. Like I can't feel my hands. Everything's kind of buzzing in my arms. My heart's beating, but I know I can't quit, man. So we make the turn. The paramedics come out, take my vitals. They do that, and they say, hey, have a Snickers bar and something, maybe you need some sugar. But my blood pressure, my heart rate was out of control. They're like, maybe you shouldn't go play. And I'm like, well, that's not an option. So I start on the back 9, I birdie like 10, 12, 13 or something like that, and I'm just on a roll. And so then I decide, well, if I smoke more cigarettes, maybe that's going to make me feel better because
that fixes everything.
Fixing cigarettes at the time fixed everything. So I smoke one, and then I instantly feel worse. Well, lo and behold, I get to 18, I miss the green, I make this crazy up and down for par. I don't even know how I made it, and I finish, and I just start crying, and I'm walking into the scoring tent. I remember there's Tommy Gainey and Jason Kokrak, and they're sitting there, and they're like, hey, great play, and they see tears coming down my eyes. So I go in, we check my scorecard like 10 times because I don't even know where I'm at really. And they say, we're calling the paramedics, and so this ambulance rolls up. There's people everywhere. They back it up to the scoring tent. They bring in a stretcher. I have all my clothes on. They strap me down. Meanwhile, the tour and the Golf Channel's wanting to do some quotes because I'm leading the tournament at the time. And they take me to the Arnold Palmer Hospital there, and they ran every test known to man. I spent the night there. I slept in my shoes. They let me go about 7 or 8 o'clock the next morning. Andy Dawson picked me up, took me to my hotel. I tried to get a couple hours of sleep, but I couldn't. And then I went out and played Saturday. I think I shot even par, maybe 1 under, and stayed in it. And then got done there, and had everybody wanting to know a million questions. I went to dinner that night with Andy Dawson. I don't remember where, but we walked in, and it's like one person recognized me, and then before I know it, I had everybody on top of me, and I was like, holy shit, man! Like, what? This is big time. And that's kind of like when I realized I got a chance to win a tour event. So actually, my wife at the time, ex-wife now, and my son flew in with my mom and her mom, and so they came and watched me for the final round, and I made everything, man. I think I birdied 6 holes in a row or something, like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, doubled 13, birdied 14, and then we get to 18, and Handlebar was my caddy at the time, and he's like, we can make double and still win this. So I pull 5-iron off the tee and hit 5-iron out there in this right bunker, and I'm like, all right, so we got a 7-iron in. I hit that up in the greenside bunker, and I hadn't been hitting good bunker shots all week.
Of course,
man. That's how it always goes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm on a little upslope, and I'm like, all right, if anything, you can fat this, because I've already viewed that there's grandstands and people and stuff behind if I blade it.
Crazy,
I'm like,
the brain.
It is crazy. And so I literally fat it out to 20 feet. And I roll it up there to about 3 feet, and I'm thinking to myself, you just can't screw this up, man. You can 2-putt from 3 feet. I must have taken my putter back a half an inch, and that ball just barely rolled over the edge. Because if I missed it, man, I wasn't going to have any work. And I think it was maybe Garrigus, or I don't remember who I just clipped. No, it was
Chris Stroud, I feel like.
I want to say it was Jerry Kelly.
I actually looked at it. Yeah, it might have been Jerry Kelly.
Might have been Jerry Kelly, or Jerry Kelly needed me to do something so he could keep his card. But anyway, I finish, but I'll never forget it. I finish, and behind the green waiting for me were the only two guys, and it was Tommy Gainey and Jason Kokrak. And we had a drink together, got the trophy, but it just meant a lot that those two guys, they saw me there when I came off the course on Friday, and then they were there after my win. And so I have nice relationships with both of those guys.
I played that week, and I mean, that was obviously the story. What in the hell is going on?
What is going on,
play
man?
Golf? So did it end up just being anxiety?
It was a panic attack, but I'd never even heard the word anxiety, so I had no idea what it was. I thought I was having a heart attack, and at the time I was probably one of the most unhealthy individuals. So I'm like, fuck, maybe it's my time, Maybe I'm going to win a tournament and then go out, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you never battled that before. Did it continue after?
Terribly.
Yeah. What's the because anxiety, like beta blockers was a thing for a while. They outlawed those, like the performance enhancer for golf. So what are your options when you have anxiety but you're trying to play tour events?
Eat Xanax.
Oh, you can do Xanax.
Yeah, you can crank
back
Xanax and Zoloft and whatever else. But so that's what I did, man. And I suffered terrible anxiety to the point where I think it was like 2015. I'm at Houston and I couldn't turn the doorknob to leave my hotel room to go play. And I called Ricky Romano, my caddy at the time, and said, dude, I can't play today. And so he came over to the room. We went to the parking lot there. We found the tour doctors, kind of discussed, and I took a leave of absence then. And then I think I took about 6 months off, which it was hindsight, it was the worst idea ever, because now I was getting paid some disability. I'm at home playing golf, partying tenfold, and everything got worse, man. And I suffered terrible anxiety until 26 months ago when I gave up the booze.
So with the anxiety, was it only on the golf course, or was it all the time?
You know what? It was only on the golf course.
So was it just like result driven, or fear of failure? Like, what was it?
I think it could have been all. I at the time, man, I did. I cared what everybody thought, for sure. And I think that drove a lot of it. And then, my career was always 4 or 5 good weeks a year and 20 terrible ones. Half the time I'd leave after Thursday, because just like Q School, I was so far out of even making the cut. I'm like, well, Rick, I'm not going to waste our time, buddy. We're out of here. And but I think the fear-driven, what people were going to think, what I was going to shoot, what my peers were going to think. And then as it kept getting worse and worse and my play got worse and worse, it just got even more intense to the point where I couldn't even handle it. But the nasty cycle is you would take the Xanax and smoke the pot and drink the booze, because then you'd feel good. But then those just made it so much worse the next day, man. And then that's how the vicious cycle just got rolling.
I actually don't know that. Is Xanax allowed? Like, will you fail a drug test with Xanax?
No, you won't. No? You're allowed to take Xanax. Yep.
When this was all going on, like, was this around the time, like you said, I was partying tenfold? Like, you had a run there where you would go pretty hard. Is that when that was all starting, the drinking, the booze, and all that?
Yeah,
Which you're clean now, but
from the time I got on tour to the time I left tour, man, it was unfortunately my priorities was wrong, but I had a great time. Yeah, I tore it off as often as I could.
For you, I mean, I was out there the same time you were.
Yeah.
I didn't know you extremely well. We got paired together, knew you, but like, who were you running around with other tour players? Like, who'd you hang out with?
Well, I had the rig, so I was parking with Daly and Sabatini, and occasionally Jason Day was there, Garrigus was there, so we had a nice group. But a lot of times I just invited guys over to the rig and would party, or like if you went to Charlotte always had a good players party, Dallas. But man, to be honest, I made the party wherever I was or wherever I was at. I turned it up and rock and roll.
It'd been like that since the Jickies. I mean, even when I was with you, we'd go somewhere out of town, but like, if y'all want to go, like, there's a group right there, like they'll go. You know what I mean? They'll go 100%. Every night, and then other people would just kind of pop in and out.
Yep. And we just cranked until early hours of the night, and it didn't matter what time the tea time was, and we had a great time.
You and JD were that was kind of your running mate for a while, right? When you had the
mainly,
RV.
Him and I never went anywhere, but sitting out in the RVs, him and Sabatini and that. I mean, just fantastic times for sure. Really good times.
So obviously things are really good right now, which we're going to get
Yeah.
to in a little bit. But looking back, if you could do it all over again, would you have cleaned it up?
Well, you know, I'm kind of in a spot where I'm thinking about doing it all over again because I feel like I owe it to myself. If I made it to the tour and won on the tour and was able to stay out there for 5 or 6 years doing that, what could I do doing it the way that you should do it? No, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
I think I had a great time. I was, you know, I didn't grow up with money. I had money in my pocket. I had every opportunity available. As you know, when you get out there, the things that you're presented, you can do anything. So I had experiences that I would have, you couldn't make up or dream up some of them, you know, and I got to live those because I was good at golf, and then I started mixing the partying, and boy, you could just, the day could get away from you quick.
I mean, looking at you now, you've been clean for a long time. Congratulations on that. You
Yeah,
built
that's
like a shit house. Like when I saw you the other day, I was like, God damn, what have you been doing, bro? Like you look like it's tied in now. Looking back on it, so that's been a while. Was there a rock bottom or a moment, like a one specific moment where you're like, this got to stop, dude. Can't keep going.
Yeah. I mean, not when I was on tour, but you know,
Just to like shut it all down.
Yeah. So I went and played the Sedona Open, the Outlaw Tour, 26 months ago now. And I didn't really know anybody there. Sedona was a quiet place, so I'm literally drinking 20 or 30 beers in the room by myself watching TV. And I go out on Thursday, or I play the first 2 days, and then the final day I go out and I hit 18 greens, and I have 15 three putts because my hands were shaking.
That is a world record.
My hands were shaking so bad. Then just the anxiety over me, man, like it got to the point where I was just putting with one hand, just trying to get it near the hole and then be done with it. And then I've been in the Bitcoin world since 2016, and that night I made a big mistake trading. That the only reason I made it is because I was hammered. Went home. I woke up on October 26th, and my wife and I had a little chat, and I said, you know what? I'm never having a drink again. And here I am now.
Just like that.
Just like that. I did the same thing.
That's hard to do.
I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes for many, many years. I'm at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. Ricky can vouch for this. We're hitting balls next to Tom Watson. He's giving me a hard time about smoking. And I looked at Ricky, and it was a Tuesday, and I said, dude, I'm never smoking again. He's like, yeah, right. And he always kept a pack of smokes because he knew that I'd always run out, especially if we got stressed. Sometimes we'd smoke 2 packs. And he's like, well, keep these in my pocket for about 10 minutes. And sure enough, he never pulled them out, and I've never had another one. So lucky for me, I've kind of got an on-off switch. I'm either
that's impressive.
I'm either full bore or I'm
all the way out.
All the way out.
Well, congrats
man.
to you, because that ain't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that battle with all that type of stuff,
Yeah.
and it's not as easy as just like, I think I'll quit.
Yeah.
I quit chewing 72 times.
100%.
You know?
I quit smoking 100 times. I quit drinking 100 times. But then, sometimes you just got to get to the point, a rock bottom point, where you have 2 choices. You can either turn it around, or what's coming pretty soon. And
it typically takes like a scare.
A scare.
It's like scares you out of it, basically. Because you keep
100%.
beating it, it's like, I keep going.
Yeah, that day I had all those 3 putts, the feelings and the no control that I had over my body. That was what scared me the most.
And I didn't mean to laugh at that. That was
I've
never heard of such a thing as 15.
It might have been 14 or so, but it was
wild.
ridiculous. I remember I hit like 3 of the 4 par 5s and 2, and I didn't birdie any because I had three putt. And yeah, it was. But
How'd
that
you
was
play it? Good. Hit 18 greens, shot 84.
exactly, man.
Got to tighten up the putter a little bit.
Got to tighten the putter a little bit. But
So you mentioned Bitcoin, which you did very well in, but you're still playing some tournaments here and there.
Still play. I haven't played as much lately. I play about 4 days a week in a money game with some buddies down at Alta Mesa or Los Cindas. So I'm playing a lot. I haven't played any tournaments. I'm going to go try to Monday for San Diego, and then I'm going to play. They've got a 3-day event, the Asher Tour. I think they just bought out the Outlaw Tour at McCormick Ranch. So I'm going to play those as kind of a warm-up for the Phoenix Open qualifier.
Give me a quick breakdown, because I'm not a Bitcoin, none of that kind of guy. Give me a quick breakdown. Like, what made you want to get into it? What did you see that you thought was going to do so well? And then obviously you got out at the right time.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you exactly. I was sitting there and I was flipping through Instagram, and Philip Francis, who at the time was the #1 player in the world, maybe, was at UCLA, left UCLA. But all of a sudden I'm looking at his Instagram, dude, and this guy's in some pretty incredible places. The transportation's pretty incredible. So
Still is.
Yeah, it still is. So I texted him and I said, hey, man, what are you doing now? And he goes, I started buying, Bitcoin. And that was actually when I took the leave of absence from the tour. And so I started reading about it. And again, I'm an all in or nothing man. And this was like November or something. I started buying Bitcoin at like $450. And by the next November, Bitcoin was at 20,000. And I was doing really well. And that made everything worse because now I had a lot of money and no rules and no care for anything other than how fucked up I was going to get and how long we were going to roll for.
And how high is Bitcoin going to go?
Exactly.
Dude,
yeah.
Speaking of Philip, so it's probably around that time.
Yeah.
He and I went up and played the John Deere Monday. Okay. Came from here, went up there, both missed. We're flying home together. I am telling you, from the time we got to whatever airport that is you fly out of.
Moline.
Is it Moline?
Yeah.
Okay, we're in Moline. We're waiting we're getting food. We're waiting. We get on the plane. We sit right next to each other, probably Southwest, whatever. From the time we land in Phoenix, it was him talking about Bitcoin. And I got off the plane. I was like, this dude is lost. I don't even know what Bitcoin. I've never heard of any of the cryptocurrency. Like, what is it? It sounds like some just fantasy world or whatever. And I was like, this dude, he ain't playing golf anymore because he's like all in on this shit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden later on, I was like, Philip might have known what he's talking about.
Philip did know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
He was really, really early. I think he was like double digits early, $50 early. Could have been even earlier, man.
He was in and he knew he was telling me why it was going to be.
I think occasionally he got on like CNBC Money. I mean, he was big time for sure. And then now every time I see him and his wife, I think they live in Miami now, or they're either in Switzerland or they're everywhere.
It's hard to tell where they're at.
Yeah, it is. But he's obviously doing well and everything's good. And yeah.
Well, you're doing great, man. That's cool as shit.
I got
We're happy for you.
Phyllis, one question for you, lads. Like, your story is pretty remarkable. I think there's a lot of people that will relate to it too. But it ain't done. Like you said, you're still playing. If you could write the perfect ending to the Charlie Beljan golf story, how does it end?
I've the perfect ending was I'm hoping and begging and trying for a sponsor exemption into Phoenix. But the ideal perfect ending, man, I've always cherished the last time my son got to come out on 18 when I won. I'll never forget that. I held him up like Lion King did Simba, man, and I'll never forget that. But he was 4 months, man. He was tiny. So for him to get to experience in that, and then my wife, she didn't know anything about golf, and that is her favorite thing. On Sunday, she'll just tune in sometimes to the last hole to watch the family run out. So I think to give them both that, and I can't even imagine the emotion that I would feel, but that would be, to go win on tour again and be able to do it with my family and be able to be where I was and climb the mountain again to the pinnacle in golf. That would be the perfect story.
So are you saying like you're going to go all in again?
That's the thing, man. My game's never been better. I've never been mentally sharper. I've never enjoyed it more, man. Like, I go play golf now and I enjoy the architecture and the breaks and greens, and it's weird, but I've never enjoyed it more. But as you know, man, I don't know if I could do the 25 weeks on a road. Being away from my boy, being away from my wife. Even people are like, oh, they could come with you. Well, not when you're in school and you got sports and you got all that shit going on. And then I'm a homebody, man. I love home. I don't venture far away from my house. So to think about going, and especially in this crazy ass world right now, I don't know if I can make that commitment. But if I did, I haven't been on a range in 2 years. I play golf 4 or 5 days a week. I would do that, man. I would not practice because I felt like when I got to the tour can be a black hole. You get out there, you were good enough to get yourself there, but then all of a sudden you got to start thinking you're going to change your swing because you got to do this, or you got to start switching clubs. And before you know it, you're so overwhelmed by all the extra shit that you lose your game and you lose yourself. And I think I could manage that 100 times better. But I just don't know if I could do the travel. I would love to have another RV and do it that way. I saw Spieth getting ready to do it. I think he's going to have a ball doing it because I can't believe 50 guys don't do it. Now the schedule on the tour sucks, so the drives are long. I was one of the guys that loved driving my rig. Rickie would drive it at night so I could get hammered going to the next stop. And then he would sleep in the morning. I'd get up and drive or whatever. But, a lot of guys like Day, he just had somebody drive it and do everything. I remember Garrigus one time didn't even know how to turn it on, so he was parked too close to a pond, so I had to go, pull up all the levels, move it for him and his family. So, but it's nice to have all your own shit right there, your own bed, your fridge if you're hungry. It's normalcy, not a different hotel, so I don't know. That's kind of my dilemma right now. I feel like I'm good enough. My game's better. But I'm in a fortunate enough situation where I don't have to go do it for the money. And so
that's a good thing, though, because you might just let it go.
You might just let it go
100%. You don't have to have it.
The only hurdle I have is the travel, because most people, they watch golf on the weekends. They hear about, somebody, got a jet to here. They're obviously making all the putts. They see a big check. So that's kind of what they think it is. I wish they'd make a movie on the other half of the guys that miss the cut, that might fly across the country to see their family for a night and then fly back across the country. There's just so much more to it than what meets the eye on television. And the travel part is the only thing that kind of makes me wonder.
I've said for years, I think Friday afternoon, you got your featured groups. When I'm out there doing Golf Channel, you got a couple of groups in each wave and you follow them.
Yeah.
But just using a name, Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth's in 40th on Friday. It's cool, yeah, he's going to be around, make the cut. Watching a guy that is living and dying by every hole trying to make a cut,
no question,
and whether he's a no name, a big name, and watch what it means to him.
100%.
That is good TV.
Yep.
I've begged. I was like, can we please show some guys, at least on the last hole, who have to make birdie or have to make par, or maybe they can make bogey and make the cut, and they're throwing up all over themselves coming in. That is entertaining.
That is entertaining, 100%.
And it means so much.
It means way more to those guys than it does the guys they're showing on TV, 100%. Yep, because as once you start cranking down the points, man, all of a sudden every putt starts mattering. That 4-footer, you could go back to a million 4-footers that you missed that cost you your job. And,
every year you watch there at Wyndham, and it's projected, and it's all of a sudden 126 is 0.8 or 1.2 FedEx Cup points. You're oh my God! I remember when I just slapped that one on Saturday when I was in 50th.
When I gave up on Friday afternoon after three putted, I could have made the cut.
I remember one year I missed a 5-footer to miss the cut at the Wyndham, flew right home, and then I sat in the bar. KO's up here with a good buddy of mine at the time. His girlfriend owned the bar. And for Saturday and Sunday, I sat at the bar screaming and yelling at the TVs for certain guys to miss and make. And people are looking at me like, what? I'm like, my job's on the line here, man. They're like, what do you mean?
Sweat.
Yeah, so that's tough for sure.
That sucks when you have zero control.
Yeah. Zero control.
If it's you coming down the back nine, you're like, okay, if I shoot even par this last nine, I keep my job, fine.
Yep.
But when you're sitting at a bar and you're just like, oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah, you need a guy to make a bogey.
It's hard.
I
remember it was Freddie Jakobsen at the time that I was rooting against more than ever, man. And I'm sitting in there, hollering at how stupid his outfits looked, because he dressed, kind of out there. But I remember he was the guy that I kept rooting for to hit it in the houses, hit it anywhere. And people say, oh, you shouldn't root against people. Well, I do.
Yeah. I'm about to for the next 4 hours.
Yeah.
I don't remember who finished 126 this year, but this was probably 5 years ago. My good buddy Martin Flores.
Okay. Yeah.
Playing Wyndham. Makes a hole-in-one on 16, birdie 17, then made a 6-footer for par on 18 to get into the top 125. So he obviously knocked somebody out.
Yeah.
So whoever finished 126 has got to be like,
it took an act of God
now. A hole-in-one, a birdie, and a 6-footer for par.
Chesson Hadley did it recently.
Yeah.
63 or something the last thing when he had to have it, barely greased in.
His hole-in-one was on his first nine. He was finishing on the other side. But Martin's was dead. He had to literally go 3 under his last 3, and he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, the 126 guy is just like, are you
That's
out?
The worst.
What have I done?
You'd rather finish 200.
What have I done? Well, dude, you might be in the perfect spot. We'll get to the E9 here, but you got past champion status. You're going to get, you still get some, right? You're going to play the Island Tour?
I'm getting, say that again?
Like the Island Tour?
Tour,
yeah. I'm kind of getting to the end there. Last year, I had a bad back, so I had to miss John Deere, Barbasol, Tahoe, which really screwed me because I played well in Puerto Rico to move way up the list and then drop down. So I need.
You don't fall off the list, though.
You don't fall off the list, but boy, you can get down there to where,
Really?
The only way that you can get in is if a new tournament comes in, and a lot of guys don't want to go, so they go 30 deep on the past champions. That's, I feel like Jonathan Kay's a guy that I always, his last second flies in because he's way down, but he gets moved up there. But for the past champions category, getting out of, it is the Island Tour, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, dude, it's a good little, for what you want to do, it's it feels perfect, dude. It's Vegas.
Bermuda.
You know, some fun spots. You got to travel. You travel a handful of times a year. You get to play, scratch that itch, and if you go play great, like maybe
you never know.
Things open up.
100%.
You know?
By the way, before we get to the E9, we got to touch on it real quick. I know this is going long, but this week is American Express out in Palm Springs. Your old caddy, Ricky Romano, is now in the bag for Rickie Fowler.
Correct.
And his wand he used on Thursday is your old putter.
Yeah, Ricky actually called me last night, says, hey, I got to talk to you tonight. And so I called him. We talked about a few things. And he's like, you're not going to believe this. He's like, you remember that putter you gave me 10 years ago? And I'm like, yeah, the one you're still using, the Odyssey jailbreak. And he said, yeah. He goes, well, the other day, Fowler and I are at Madison Club, and we're messing around, and I'm making a bunch of putts, man. And Fowler kind of took notice, and he came over. He said, let me see that thing. And the next thing you know, he's using it all day at Madison Club, rolling it, and then they put it into play for this week. I think the putter's almost as tall as Ricky.
It's a long one.
It's a long putter,
big super stroke grip.
I hope Ricky Romano is my guy. I wish nothing but the best for him, and Fowler's a great human too. So I hope they make a bunch of putts, man.
I mean, as close as you and Ricky Romano are, you had to be excited. Not as excited as Ricky Romano, but pretty damn excited when he got the job with Fowler.
Probably the second most excited for him.
That's so awesome.
You know, I always text him to enjoy the walk, have a great day. He was always there for me, man. He was not only my caddy, but I hate to say it, but he was the person that made sure I got home at night. You know, so Ricky and I will forever be best buds.
Rickie Fowler and Ricky both got a good guy to work with. That'll work out nicely.
100%.
Two like kind of positives, you know.
100%.
When he was on the bag, is that back in the Bacardi Silver days?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Told me to ask you about the Bacardi
Ricky's
Silver.
seen some things. Ricky's been around.
Yeah, Bacardi was my jam. Too. Yeah. Oh, Ricky could play. I mean, the guy shot 2 or 3 59s out in Mesa, the Painted Mountain. That guy can putt it really good too. For sure, but
great like money game guy to have
great
on
money
your
game
team.
Guy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he shows up. He's tiny. He's kind of got a funky move at it, but he'll kick your ass when it comes down to it.
That like Q School shows up, maybe don't have their best or try to change their whole life before that, but you want to get him in a money game with some carts and some booze. And
yep, he's your guy.
That's a dude you want.
There are guys like that.
There's a shitload of them, and they're some of the best.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the E9. Okay. We asked the first one to everyone. You can be anyone for a day, dead or alive. You get to walk in their shoes for a day. Who would it be?
Whew. Walk in their shoes for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I mean
There's no wrong answers here.
It's a big question though. It can take a little thinking.
The first person that comes to mind, and this is gonna flip shit. I think Trump.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Win. You can have a day.
What do you mean win?
Well, you get to like it'd be a day of him. A day in his
while
life.
he was
right
president?
now. You want him right now? You want to be president?
I want him.
Playing golf?
I want him on his next term.
Okay.
The next go round. Okay. You can shape some policy.
Yeah. There's a bunch of people. For some reason, he came right to that. You know, I've idolized Tiger my entire life. I was actually skipped 6th grade and was at the Phoenix Open when Tiger made that hole-in-one when he first came onto the scene. I was sliding on cardboard boxes down the Dormant Hills, and then he made that, and I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. People went nuts. And that was before 16 is what it is now.
That kind of launched.
And then he goes and wins the Masters in 97. I was like, that's when I decided I wanted to play golf.
Same for all of us that are this age. Like, that was it.
That's cool you were there, though.
That was it.
Yeah, I'll never forget it.
That like launched 16 being 16.
Quick story. First time I met Tiger, Bethpage, 2009 U.S. Open. He walks in, and this was still when he was before everything happened. And he walks in, and the room goes silent. And I'm sitting there with my mom and my sister, and they say, "You got to go up and you got to introduce yourself." I'm like, I don't want to be that guy, you know. So I'm shaking. I finally get up the courage. I'm shaking. I'm walking over to him. He's eating a bowl of cereal or oatmeal or something. And I said, "Mr. Woods," I said, "my name's Charlie Beljan. I just wanted to tell you it's an honor to have my name on the trophy as you." And he puts his spoon down, and he just looks up at me, and he goes, "Which one?" And I was like, you know, I won the U.S. Junior. We're at, Atlanta Athletic Club. He said, "Oh, the home of Bobby Jones." And I said, "Yep." And so I wished him good luck, but yeah, Tiger's it, man.
Which one?
That's good.
Which one? I know that's
you're gonna
such a Tiger answer.
A little
Which
more
one?
specific, dog. I got about 160 of them things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, next one from me. We talked about this a little bit before too, but you're self-described adrenaline junkie. Give me the wildest thing that you've ever done, where you look back now and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Boy, I used to ride with these guys from like the Fort McDowell Casino up to Payson. So it's about an hour drive in a car. And every Saturday morning we would meet at the gas station, and then we'd ride up to the Payson airport, have breakfast, and ride home. And it was an hour in a car. Speed limit's like 65 miles an hour. We probably did it 10 or 15 times, and we averaged about 22 minutes. So ripping to Payson, doing over, 130, 140, sometimes 150 miles an hour on those mountain roads, doing that. A handful of times we blew by cops, and they didn't even bother. If they didn't have somebody up further to radio to, they couldn't catch us. But
22 minutes.
When I was riding those
on the Harley, was that the Harley?
No, these were crotch rockets.
Okay.
That was an R1 at the time. And I loved those bikes, man. I had 3 at one time, and I was once my son came along, I had to sell them because I didn't have a go mode. Those things were built to go 100 miles an hour, so to go 45 or 55 it wasn't in the cards.
Doesn't move the needle.
It doesn't move it. So I still ride Harleys. I love it. I probably ride 3 days a week out to Saguaro Lake or something. Never through the traffic lights. I don't need to be taken out by a person, so I can go right out the back of my neighborhood to Saguaro Lake and back in about 35 minutes. And so I do that all the time. But the crotch rockets that's where I could have really got. I mean, I was dressed in like full metal plates on my front, on my back. I mean, just in case you went down,
Yeah, you did a lot of weird shit. You show up to the jigs, Colt, with the Harley. It would be cold as hell. Teeing off at 8 out in wherever the hell we were playing. 8:15 tee time. Charlie roll up at 7:30. Bag like bungee,
moon
however
bag
you strap it to the back of the Harley, helmet on. I'm in my car with the heat on because it's free. I'm like, if this
So it's 70.
This freaking dude beats me. If he beats me today. He's driving from Mesa. He just drove an hour on his bike.
Yeah.
It's got to be minus 10 out there when the way he's driving.
And then I upgraded from the bike to the smart car, and there was
that
nothing
thing.
better
You
than
couldn't get the clubs
I
in.
couldn't even get the clubs in. I had to
Yeah, I
take the
remember
clubs
that.
out and lay them in, but it was so fun because every time I'd park behind somebody to where they couldn't leave, but then nobody was ever going to do anything to me because I was either going to whoop your ass on the golf course or I was twice as big as you. So
getting
You
in
can
this
fit in a
smart car.
smart car?
No,
I did.
dude, it was
so
a debacle.
Romano and
Debacle.
I and Kendall Critchfield at the time, dude, we'd always carpool. And the greatest thing about the smart car was your feet were at the front of the car and your back was at the back of the car, so you could weave in and out and do whatever you wanted, man.
I still remember
Sure
that thing,
did.
dude. I was just seeing him pull out and getting out of it and getting his
Yeah.
clubs out. It was like, it was either the Harley or the smart car. Like,
Yeah.
there's always some weird. Whenever Charlie pulled, I was like, watch this. There's gonna be some weird shit.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I can't imagine you in a smart car.
Yeah.
All right. Well, when you played, you probably still did, but you were a visor guy.
Visor guy.
Much like my man Sleaze is
Yeah.
over here. Give me your all visor team on tour. Because some people rock it and it's just not a good look.
Well,
Current?
Then
Current,
it'd be
past,
current guys.
whatever, doesn't matter.
Well, you
it
gotta
was
go-
obviously old school. A lot more.
Yeah,
people
they had
wore
more
it.
style.
you
back
got to
then.
go right back to who we were talking about earlier, Spencer Levine.
Spence.
That dude rocked a visor better than anybody.
It was a
Snedeker
staple.
was a good visor
Yeah.
guy.
Freddie was an OG guy.
Freddie was one. VJ.
VJ had like the little
Yeah.
one most of the time.
But if you're gonna,
I don't like the
as he
little
got
ones.
older.
Yeah, I don't
hate
care
it.
for the.
No
big-
offense,
yeah.
Luke Donald. I like Luke Donald. I don't like that little.
I don't like the
hat
little one
visor.
either. I always had the big ones for sure.
Yeah, you're a big visor guy.
Yeah, 100%.
Keith now.
Keith
I guess
Mitchell
Mitchell.
does.
He's back on it.
Oh,
He was
okay.
off with
Yeah.
Nike, but now he's back on. He's
Yeah.
back home.
Tommy
where-
Armour the
back where he
third.
belongs.
Oh,
Rock the
what a
visor.
Yeah,
guy.
TA.
Hair flowing out the side.
Yeah, you got to slow.
TA, he was a New Mexico guy.
Yeah.
He went to-
Lumpy, how about? He was a
Lumpy.
visor guy and
Yeah.
a New Mexico
Yeah.
guy, and he's the best.
First time I meet Tommy Armour, we got the Lobo Day and, raising money. Heron's there, Nota Begay's there, a bunch of guys are there. Tommy Armour's there. I get paired. My coach is like, hey, you're going to play with Tommy Armour and Tim Heron. We're on the first tee. It's kind of cold. A handful of people show up. There's these two beautiful blondes off to the side. And I kid you not, Heron pegs it, hits it. Tommy Armour puts it in the ground, hits it, picks up his tee, walks over, throws up, goes over to the two girls, says, hey, you want to go to Vegas? They said yes, and he fucking bounced right there. Didn't even play
Right
in
after
the,
a puke.
Didn't even play in the event. I think I remember that.
And you're like,
right.
this
And
guy's
I'm
my
like,
hero.
I'm like, holy
If you can
moly,
do that after
man.
a puke, and they're like, no,
Yeah.
you're sick.
No,
was
and,
like,
and
yeah,
he
we'd
was
love
out
to
of
go.
there. And he was out of
That's
there. I
good.
think that's exactly how it happened.
I hope that's how it happened
Yeah,
because that's
it was-
great.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that that's true.
Yeah.
There's some TA stories that
Some really good TA stories.
are for real,
Yeah.
for real.
He actually has told me he will come on, and if he'll open up, it could be all time.
We'll sell it to
would be
HBO.
all time.
I mean,
Yeah,
we can just do 4 hours on his parties.
Yeah.
Get him and JJ together and just
Yeah.
tee off. Okay, this is I skipped one here. No, actually, this is the one I want. All right, you're a Jicky Jack legend. I said that, right? Give me Give me the best player you ever played with on the Jicks who never got a tour card. The guy you're like, he's going to make it, and then didn't.
Boy, there was a handful of them, man.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
You know, I thought Mueller would do it.
Mueller could go lower in this city than maybe
anybody.
Anyone.
Yeah. You know, at the time there was like that Eric Meyerders.
He
Didn't
he got out.
He just
got
played
out
good
a
this
year.
week at Corn Ferry, I think.
Oh,
he
he's
got
playing
out
golf
for a year, by the way. He made it through Q school, played a year, didn't have
I'm
a
gonna
great
look this up.
year.
I
He's
feel
teaching
like I
right
heard-
now. Shout out to E. I still talk to
Yeah.
him once in a
Who
while.
am I thinking of? Because somebody very similar to that
He's
name.
in like Chicago teaching or
right.
wherever he's from, Winnetka.
Boy, nothing.
He was
nobody.
good.
He was
He hit
good,
it about
man.
like that kind of distance.
Miranecki is who I'm thinking of.
Oh, he's
Daniel
still going.
Miranecki,
Daniel
yeah.
Miranecki.
He just finished
Remember
fourth on the
Oregon.
Corn Ferry.
I don't know who that
Played
is.
at Oregon.
Oregon.
I just heard Miradurks and the name sounded
Okay.
close.
Meyerders was good. Mueller could
think.
go, but
Mueller-
like your game looked like a tour game. Mueller's was just like, I don't want to play you in a money game. But
Right,
if you go
right.
play Riv, like,
Yeah.
and it's you versus
Fair
him.
enough. Yeah, I don't.
I'm trying to think who mine would be. I thought Brock McKenzie.
Oh, there's a good
Strike.
one. That guy
Before
yeah.
pre-chipping yips, I was like,
Pre-
you hit
yeah.
it better than anyone I've ever seen.
You're
in my life.
100%
more
right.
out of the middle and straight. It was like Ches with 30 more yards.
You're 100% right.
He
yeah,
did
I
strike.
played a
He
lot of
was
amateur
a
events
joke
with him.
striking it.
Yeah.
He was a good one.
Brock McKenzie.
Ellis was good. John Ellis.
John
Wyndham's
Ellis was
caddy was
good.
good. Won a ton of shit.
He was just too calm and relaxed.
He was just
Right,
didn't
right.
have enough emotion. Didn't have enough passion. I and Spence should have got paired together.
So I got a spot my first year as a pro at AT&T Pebble Beach, and I get paired with this John Ellis guy. And I had no idea. I mean, I'm not from Northern California, really never played any jickeys. And I get these texts like, dude, this guy is a legend. He kills the jickeys. He will probably lose his shit at some point, though.
Without unequivocally.
They described him perfectly.
Okay.
It was great. A lot of talent, but yes, could lose
Yeah.
his shit.
I'm talking it's same shit, like 2 under through 4, hits it in a bunker, hits it to 12 feet, and then breaks the
And
rake.
then- right.
And I'm like, dude,
Exactly.
you're fine. It's the 4th
Exactly.
hole, dog, and you're leading. Like, it's going to be okay. Lost
Yeah.
his shit. And now when he caddies for Ellis, he's like, he just gets too worked up. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But
Are
he's a
you-
lot calmer on the back.
All right, my next one. So, like, I feel like talking to Rickie, you're kind of a creature of habit.
100%.
Like, he told me, like, pretty much at one point you ate nothing but pizza and wings.
yeah.
Pretty much every meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Subway.
That's
Sup-
called a
yeah,
cool.
that's
That's called a
Subway.
great life.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me this. What is one thing, like, someone could say, I'll give you $1 million if you eat this, and you wouldn't do it?
I was offered $5,000 to eat a Rockefeller oyster, and it didn't even cross my mind to think about it, dude. I will not try. My wife is from Croatia, so she has definitely expanded my food. But I'm still to the point, dude, like my food cannot touch each other. Like
Yeah.
I'm funky about food, and I could eat steak every day for the rest of my life and not feel like I was missing out on anything.
The carnivore diet. A lot of people
Yeah.
doing it.
So is the oyster, is it just oysters or is it like fish in general?
No, I'll eat some fish, but it's got to be whitefish. I wouldn't touch salmon or anything like that, dude. But and still, like I won't. I wish I liked eggs, man, and I don't know how people eat them because they smell terrible, they look horrible, and I would never touch an egg, dude.
I hate
That's
most
so
food.
good.
I don't care about food at all. I smash eggs.
Do you? Yeah, I know.
I could eat
my
the same.
son and my
if you
wife
give me
crush
5
'em.
foods, I could live the rest of
Yeah.
my life and wouldn't care one bit. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's
my
fine.
son and my wife crush them. I won't touch them.
Pizza, wings, and Subway.
I crush.
and Bacardi and Coke. That's
yeah.
called fun.
Yeah, that's called fun.
doing it.
I crush pizza, but I won't touch spaghetti because I don't like the red sauce. Like none of my shit
That's
makes sense.
interesting.
That does not make
It
sense.
makes
That
none.
doesn't
None of my
pencil.
none of my stuff makes any sense whatsoever. But yeah, I'm
Go
extreme.
to pizza.
Ooh, right. Thin crusted oregano's.
Oh, oregano's the
Pepperoni. What do we-
If I'm doing my own pizza, I'm doing a pepperoni. I'm doing a jalapeno. I'm doing an onion, and then occasionally I'll throw a pineapple. But a pepperoni jalapeno onion is pretty much my standard jam.
We're fine as long as I don't like the onion. We're good
Okay,
other than that.
okay.
We could share.
Yep.
Okay, respect that. Man knows what he likes.
Yeah.
Doesn't need
Exactly,
much else. I
man.
respect that. All right, here we go. You're safe to say you're a big conspiracy guy.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Give me the one conspiracy theory that you are most convinced is true.
Oh man, I could think.
Don't make us have to edit it either.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably my most recent one, but there is not a goddamn chance that we went to the moon.
Oh my god!
Oh
my god!
Not a.
Yes.
That's not the one I thought.
Well, I think COVID was the biggest
I figured
scandemic.
that.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
we'll stay off that.
Yeah.
You don't think we landed on the moon? It's just all some bullshit.
Dude, I can't even get cell phone service sometimes in the valley here, and you're gonna tell me that you sent a bunch of dudes 260,000 miles away in the fucking 60s that didn't even have the technology we have on our cell phones now, and we've never gone back. And it happened to happen at the same time that Russia was going to maybe beat us. So we just put together. And if you go back and look, there's so many things.
Are you going to get into the visor and the reflection in the visor and all that?
You could do that. You could do the fact that there's no stars in the picture. You could do the fact that how was there a camera to watch it come down? How can there be footprints underneath the shuttle or whatever landed, because it has to come down and blow some dust or something. I mean, but my main thing is that, dude, I can't even get fucking cell service at my house sometimes, and you're gonna
Yeah,
sell
that's an
me-
argument.
and
My
you're gonna-
neighborhood is like blacked out. I'm
and
like,
you're gonna-
what? Elon's launching civilians up there. I can't even get a freaking bar at my house.
No way. In my opinion, we've never even been to space.
We need a
either.
Derek Anderson, Charlie Beljan.
God.
We won't even be here. We'll just let y'all get in here and mix it up on
Yeah.
all the bullshit.
Yeah,
What about
I've
Tupac?
got-
Is Tupac alive? We get Ronik too. Ronik's a huge conspiracy
Yeah,
guy.
I got the moon is my latest one, but yeah, I got a bunch, and you know what? And how can you not believe him with the crazy ass world we live in now?
Yeah,
That's
So-
beautiful.
prove it to
Yeah.
me. Till I land on it, and nobody's been in that bitch.
And how come, dude, we went back in the we did it in the 60s. How come we haven't been back? And then we were supposed to be back. We were supposed to launch something 3 or 4 weeks ago. We had like 15 delays. It's because they had to put on a show that we were going to go, but they know they can't go. So let's just trick everybody.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
The moon is a fucking scam.
It's a fucking, the moon's up there, no question. But I can promise.
Maybe that's just propped up there.
Yeah, I think the
Maybe
moon
that's
is
just some
up there,
shit they
but
tried
there
out
is
there at night to
no
say we landed on it.
no way that we went up there. And then you watch like when Buzz
Lightyear?
Buzz Lightyear, Armstrong and those guys. If you watch them, man, they're in some of the interviews that they do, you can just tell that they're like, man, I am just fucking telling a gigantic lie right now to all you people, and everybody's gonna believe it, man.
It's good. I didn't know it'd be the moon.
Yeah, that's only the reason I brought that one up is because that's my latest.
You're in
one.
on it right now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you're
my
diving
latest
in.
One.
You're gonna-
Well, I dove in. I did my thing. I don't dwell on them for long. I go in. I
Convince yourself, and then
convince
you move on?
myself, and I move on to the next one.
I like a good conspiracy theory as much as the next
Yeah.
guy. I get into
Yeah.
some of them. Moon is not one that I.
Don't edit
Spend
this
a lot
out,
of
Mark.
time.
This needs to be our one teaser for the week. Just this entire conversation
The
right
moon
here.
is bullshit.
The moon is
This
the
is our
landing
whole
of the
thing.
moon is complete bullshit.
Don't let them pull the wool over
Yeah.
your eyes.
All right.
Oh god.
Next one.
All right, go.
Would you say that Harbor Town has the best porta potties on tour?
Harbor Town.
That's Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Yeah, but how can you beat Dallas?
Well, I just meant you might have visited the ones at Harbor Town a lot.
I did. I got sick in the ones at Harbor Town quite a bit in between shots because we were having such big nights before. Yeah. When I think of a really great week on tour, Rickie and I brought Harbor Town to its knees,
Dude,
man.
it is so good. I mean, that is one of my favorite weeks. Not only because the golf course is incredible, but
Yeah.
just the
vibe,
It's
everything
awesome.
about it. You can walk around, you rent houses, everybody's friendly. But yeah, we had a great time in Harbor Town, man.
That's just a great. I love it down
It's just
there.
a
That
great
just that
spot.
part of the country.
By the way,
they just move slower. It's all great.
the Dallas porta potty is no longer.
I did hear
We
that.
had a
Yeah.
complaint from one player.
And it's
Maybe
it's-
don't use that one, sir.
Maybe don't use it, dude. And the fact that one player can ruin it for everybody is what's sad.
We won't get into that. but
No.
You know who you are.
No fun. No fun allowed. All right. This feels like a letdown after the whole moon is fake
Why
bullshit.
did you not have the conspiracy theory
I'm gonna
last?
ask, I didn't know we were coming with that, dude. I thought it would be like Tupac or aliens or something.
No.
Area
The
51.
moon landing is complete bullshit.
I'll connect with you later. I got some
100%.
other shit that needs your attention. I need another investigator on it that I got some questions about, but
Okay.
we'll get to that later. This will also be good, though. As you have told me, you have the answer to this question. Hypothetically, a person's trying to beat a drug test on the PGA Tour. How do they do it?
That's a good one. I could tell you.
Yeah, that's fun. I'd love to know.
The way that you do that, and unfortunately I know, is that you just have to drink a bunch of water. So now being sober in that and looking back at some of the shit that I did. So obviously you couldn't smoke pot, but then you kind of found out that there's levels, and if you stayed under the levels, you could smoke pot and still go about your day. But just to make sure, there's drinks on every single hole when we play, and I would literally drink one of those 16-ounce bottles at least every other hole, if not every hole. And then you get in, the guys would be waiting for you, in the scoring tent and you knew right when you were walking in, if somebody had a clipboard, you're like, son of a bitch, somebody's getting poked. Gonna be me. Yeah. And so the first time you drink that much water, obviously, and here's the other thing. So I'm trying to play golf against the best players in the world, but meantime, I'm taking literally 10 leaks on the course because, and there's not enough porta potties. So now I'm trying to dodge the crowd, take a leak, hit a shot. And what a pathetic waste of time it was for sure. But I'd always go in. My first test would be too diluted. And so you'd hang out and then you'd take another one. And I did get a few calls from the tour. I have failed a couple, but I failed them, got my warning. And then, as a matter of fact, a few years ago, they changed the levels from like 18 nanograms to 180 nanograms, which then, as long as you don't smoke the pens, you can pass those, because the THC concentration is so much higher in the pens. But it's sad that I know it. It's not what I do anymore, but it's what I did.
This is
just
so
piss
funny.
Water. I thought it was going to be the little Wizinator Minnesota Vikings.
No, dude, because you have those people watching you, man. They literally.
I didn't know how intimate they get.
Yeah, they get intimate.
I don't think it's like NFL intimate, but it's
right. But they're there.
Even in college when we had to take them, there's a dude right there.
Right
I was
there.
like, who's doing these fake things? Like, how can you get away with that?
So I never knew that about you, but I remember we've been paired together many a times on tour, and I was like, holy shit, this guy pisses.
He's a big boy, dude. He needs a lot of water.
Sure did, man.
Okay,
I was always hydrated at least, but that is, and I did 5 years and only failed 2, so
pretty good track record.
Pretty good track record.
Model citizen.
Yeah.
All right, my last one. You mentioned you used to run around in the RV, or rig as you call it.
Yeah.
Okay. For people that don't know, most of the tour places have a place for you to park your
100%.
rig. So there's a whole group of you.
Yeah.
You're pulling in, and they're telling you you're going to park here.
Okay.
Who's the one guy when you get parked next to him, you're like, oh shit, I don't want to be next to this guy.
Bad neighbor.
At the time, man, it was Chris Couch.
Oh wow!
Because that son of a bitch, he could. He in our little trailer park, he stirred up a lot of trouble, man. But he's a good dude now. Run into him, but for me, I didn't really want to park next to like Troy Madison, because he was a lot more educated than me and made me feel stupid every time he opened his mouth because he talked about things that I couldn't relate to or that. Great dude. But on the side note, boy, there would be no better parking spot than between Daly and Sabatini, because being in the middle and being able to sit there and watch both of the shit shows go on out your windows was just the best.
Who needs
man.
a TV?
Who needs a TV, man?
On both sides of me.
Yeah, they were the best, man. And those guys took me under their wing. They were so fantastic to me. I still stay in touch with Sabatini and his wife. And then Daly, whenever I get in a tournament and see him, we always have a nice time. He's the best, man. Just a great human.
Madison probably thinks the moon landing's real. Idiot.
What a way to end it.
Charlie, thank you so much.
Dude,
thank you guys for having me.
Congrats
Much
on
appreciated.
cleaning up, and we look forward to seeing you.
Congrats on everything.
Go mix it up out there, bro.
It's been good.
Drink some water.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that was Charlie Beljan joining us on Golf Subpar. What a beauty he is. I've known him for a long time. We were out there on tour together, but he was a guy, for the most part, kind of kept to himself. So you didn't really get to know Charlie. But like I said, met him in college. He was one of the first guys that I was like, holy shit, this guy can move it.
Yeah.
He was a long hitter. Obviously, probably used Stack before Stack was around.
Yeah, he'd be dangerous. Dangerous with Stack. I mean, I grew up playing junior golf against Charlie, college golf against Charlie, then jickies with Charlie, and he was one of those guys. There was like a couple be like, dude, as soon as he figures it out, like he's got the stuff you can't teach. There was a period of time before like this huge jump to speed and all the kid, every college kid now hitting bombs and things like that. When we were playing on the mini tours, we played a ton of like final rounds and stuff together. There would just be bunkers. They're like 310 in your book. I'd be like, okay, got to feed it around. He took it. He would hit the ball through the air, not with roll, because there's some guys that could hit the little low heaters and bounce it out there a bit. he would hit it through the air further than anyone I've ever seen in my life. And that was the same time like Finau was playing out there. He hadn't quite figured it out yet, but like those were the two guys. I'm like, dude, there's not many guys on tour that can move it like that. They just got to tighten it up a little bit with everything else. And he did it. And then in his rookie year, add to the fact that like that he was battling all that anxiety and stuff. Like he was outside the top 125 rookie, like playing for his job, needed a, what did he say, a top 3, I believe, to keep his card. I mean, that pressure, then to come through and do it with, it was cool to get an inside peek at what that week was like, because it was gnarly.
I mean, his ride has been just incredible. That's the one thing people don't realize, that you never know what's going on behind the scenes. All you do is see him out there playing golf on TV or whatever. Might not be playing that great. You're like, oh, that guy sucks. You have no idea what they're battling. But it's really cool to see how, 26 months sober now, killed it in Bitcoin, killing it in the gym. The guy is jacked right now. But I'm super happy for him. Said he might give it another go. But, man, incredible story. Seriously, one of my favorite episodes we've done.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like he wants to do 25 events on the PGA. Even if he came out and won one of these off-field events or something like that. Like, all right, dude, you're back on. Like, I don't know how much he would play. Doesn't sound like he has to play. But, I mean, when he was out there, parking his RV next to Daly, he was always the guy on the jigs. Like, you want to go have a time? Like, Charlie would be around. Charlie's having a barbecue. Charlie's doing whatever. And, like, his rookie year on tour, I was like, man, Charlie's, like, completely good enough. I've been around enough of these guys to know, is this, like, can he figure it out? And to get a behind-the-scenes peek at, like, what was all going on makes sense. And that ain't an easy thing to shut off either. He just made a decision one day, like, oh, I'm done smoking. He smoked 2 packs. I mean, he fired through them, you know. Oh, I'm done drinking. Like, that's the thing that take people years.
Good for him,
and then
man.
They fall
that's
off.
hard.
He's 26 months. Shout out to Charlie. And I knew when I asked him to come, I was like, anything you don't want to talk about? He's like, open book. Yeah. Anything. So props to him for coming on. And I mean, talking about all that ain't the easiest in the world.
Really cool. All right, let's get to some gambling. We got the Farmers Insurance Open this week. We got the AFC, the NFC Championship. These games are both going to be incredible. Eagles, San Fran. Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. Chiefs, Buffaloes. Chiefs are 1.5 points favorites at home.
Bengals, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Joe Burrow. Riding the hot hand. He's owned Kansas City. Cincy plus 1.5, probably going to money line him. I like the Bengals.
I do too, actually.
Oh, God.
Which is scary. Just Mahomes, like a healthy Mahomes. I don't know. I picked the Chiefs all year to win the Super Bowl. I'd still lean on the Chiefs. That high ankle sprain is a different animal. I mean, he could barely move, you know, after that injury in that last game. I don't know what he's going to be. He moves around a lot. He could scramble. He adds time in the pocket. If he looks close to what he looked like last week, that's a tough team to go beat with Burrow firing on all cylinders. They also feel like they have like Bengals like a little chip on their shoulder. You know, the comments about better get those refunds when they're talking about the game potentially between Buffalo and KC and Atlanta. It's just hard for me to bet against Joe Burrow right now. He's one of those dudes that just like, I think he can put a team on his shoulder, win a game by himself.
This is one of those ones you just hope the game lives up to the hype, because it is big time. I mean, two of the best teams in football. In my opinion, the two best quarterbacks in football going at it.
Without question,
Ooh,
yeah.
Boy. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo on the call. It is going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, the Bengals, for whatever reason, have been the Chiefs' kryptonite, even when Mahomes has been healthy. If he's just – that's a tough team to beat with everything. If you got Mahomes at 60, 70%, something like that, tough task.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to the Farmers Insurance Open, see if we can pick some winners here. Pretty strong field, teeing it up at Torrey Pines. Your favorite, as we said, Jon Rahm, plus 390. 4-1 most places you look. It's pretty crazy. As far as the value-wise, it's hard to bet on, but I can also see why you might like Jon Rahm, because he's undefeated this year.
Because no one's beating him. Yeah, and he's 54 under.
But I'm going to go just a little further down the board. One whole spot. 12-1.
Okay.
Guy
long shot.
Grew up in San Diego, went to San Diego State, finally played well at Torrey Pines last year, mostly because I found his golf ball on Friday, which allowed him to make the cut and lead to a runner-up finish. My man, Xander Schauffele, going off at 12-1.
Okay. Coming off a little dub or Albatross, whichever way you want to call it, out there at the stadium course.
That was a nice shot.
Dre on the call for PGA Tour Live. By the way, never hate Xander. Want to pick him every single week. I'm going to go to a guy that this golf course should be perfect for him. I mean, he lost in a playoff last year. He battled injury last year, so he hasn't played a ton, but 36 last week. Shot 16 under. It wasn't like terrible golf, but that's, like Rahm said, more of a putting contest. Give me Will Zalatoris coming in there. If he's hitting it like he can, this place should be perfect. Ball striker and putting. One of the places I would say it's the least important stat. You just got to go fairway green, do it over and over.
Yeah, lost to Luke List in the playoff last year. Also the side of my incredible call of hammered down the middle.
Hammered down the middle and plugged in the shit.
They must have moved that bunker.
Yeah, dude, that was some sort of conspiracy.
Don't make me call
it was
golf
a
in the
conspiracy,
dark.
just like the moon landing, which is fake, obviously. Charlie told us. The moon is bullshit.
All right, as far as a dark horse, this guy getting some nice value. I know he hadn't played his best golf in the last few years. Rumor has it he's working with a new swing coach, which I'm very excited about. He's won here in the past. Justin Rose going off at 50-1.
Okay, I like that. New teacher, new beginnings for Jay Rose. I'm gonna rumored. I'm gonna go with the past champion too, with a lot of juice here. 70-1. Scott Stallings. He doesn't get a lot of love for a guy that made Eastlake last year and had a hell of a second half to the season. Not a lot of love for Scott Stallings. He's one of those guys. I don't know if you necessarily like him to win, but maybe like a top 10. But he's played well here before. Obviously, he's won. He's been close other times. I just feel like he's an under the radar guy that, for whatever reason, Torrey agrees with him, and I think he's a guy that could have a really high finish very easily.
Yeah, he's really turned his game around, making it all the way to Eastlake. Like you said, past champion here. Actually beat our guy Gary Woodland the year he won.
That is factual.
Sorry about it, Gary.
We get bonus points for that.
It's true.
It's 2 wins.
All right, well, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to get back to work. I got the next 4 weeks. We do Farmers Insurance, AT&T at Pebble Beach, right here at home for the WM Phoenix Open. Cap it off with the Genesis out at L.A.
Not just the WM Phoenix Open, dude. The Larry is in the house.
The Larry, Monday, February 6th. It's all coming together. A lot of pros, a lot of celebrities going to be teeing it up with some lucky ones out there. If you sign up, make sure you go to golf.com/the Larry. Get your team going. Only a few spots remaining.
Couple spots
we
left.
got to have this thing full so we can have a party. We're doing a little fireside chat afterwards with Jordan Spieth, possibly another major champion. Still trying to lock that in, but it's going to be a great time. Go to golf.com/the Larry. Sign up today.
Yes. Do not delay. This thing is going to be – I'm already looking forward to that. I'm already also waking up with cold sweats just about that week.
It's a big week.
Yes,
you go to the Larry, you get to have cocktails with us.
Yeah. I get to drink a little bit. That'll be nice.
Oh,
That'll
great.
be nice for the week. Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you on next week's Golf Subpar.